Where will the money to pay for your teen's college come from? This is such an important step in the whole college process, and it's often overlooked because it can be difficult to have these money conversations. As a parent, you're likely feeling overwhelmed by figuring out how to pay for college, and you might not want to upset your teen by being realistic. Expectations can run high on both sides, so the best thing to do is to have a conversation about your teen's college money sources. Hi, I'm Amanda L. Grossman from MoneyProdigy.com, and I help parents teach their teens how to manage money. And today we're going to talk about how to have that talk with your teen, the one about college and finances. At the end of the day, your teen needs to know how much their college will cost to attend each year, what money they can count on from others to pay for their college, and what money they must come up with on their own to pay for college. Then they must understand a good estimate of the amount of debt and loan repayment obligations they'll have once they graduate. I know I had no idea about this when I graduated, and it would have been good information. One day near my graduation, I was pulled into an exit interview meeting and given a package of information. Suddenly, I felt the full weight of my college years in financial terms. I was now Amanda L. Grossman, summa cum laude, graduate of Washington College with $36,000 in student loan debt. My parents and I had never had a conversation about paying for college. And while I can't say I would have done anything differently had we had one and I had known the amount of debt I'd still be in, it still would have been good information to have. For example, I learned afterward that you can make monthly interest payments on unsubsidized federal loans while in college to cut down on your overall interest payments. Thankfully, I had subsidized loans. Still, this is good information to have and to pass along. Getting clear on who is responsible for what when paying for college will also clarify some of those line items in your college-bound teen's budget, which we went over in the last video in this series. All right, let's get going. So step one is to have a conversation with your partner first. The first thing you'll need to do before having that conversation with your teen is just to have a conversation with the adults. You need to come up with what resources you want and you have to contribute towards your teen costs. Not only that, but actually agree on how much as well. That's because people have different ideas and expectations about what they want to pay for when it comes to a child's college education. Some resources you'll want to consider during this conversation include any unused military education credits or benefits, like do you have the post 9/11 GI military bill, or other bills that could actually help cover the cost of your child's education. Any 529 plans, do you have any state-sponsored savings accounts specifically for your child to use for college? If so, how does this get split up with their siblings, or are there separate accounts for each child? Any regular savings that you would like to contribute towards their college education, and parent loans. Are you willing to take on the full responsibility of a loan such as the Federal Parent Plus loan or private student loans to help your child through college? And monthly help. What, if any, monthly allowances are you going to give your child to help them with costs such as snacks, gas, and rent for living off campus? You'll likely need to create a budget for your own household so that you can understand your financial responsibilities, abilities, and your situation better. And don't forget to also think about not just this child, but other children you have and how much you would like to contribute towards their education too. After all, it would be unfair to contribute much more to the first child who goes to college and not be able to contribute as much to the second just because you hadn't planned that far ahead. The next step is to have a conversation with your teen. Once you've got an idea of the resources you have to give your child and what you're willing to contribute towards their college education, it's time to sit down with them as a family. Have them bring their budget worksheet that they started working on from video number 2 in this series, and you bring your own budget worksheet if you've filled that out as well. You don't need to share it with them, but it could be useful to refer to a specific number or any other information needed during this conversation. You want to make sure your teen's college money responsibilities are clear during this conversation. For example, your teen's money responsibilities could include things like applying for a certain number of scholarships each week, almost like it's their part-time job to do so. Applying for the FAFSA by the deadline so that they can see what federal assistance, if any, they're eligible for. Holding a part-time job during the school year. Holding a seasonal job during the summer months. Things like that. And step number 3, you need to do some calculations because it's time to get down to the numbers. Take a blank piece of paper and write down the cost of tuition and board for year 1 if you're using room and board at the top of the paper. Start subtracting whatever you can and be sure to write in both the line item such as scholarship and who is responsible for it. For example, in my first year of college, the total cost of tuition and room and board was around $32,000. I had a $10,000 National Honor Society scholarship, $2,500 Pell Grant, and $5,000 in various other scholarships were accumulated. That left a total of $14,500. My parents paid a total of $5,000 each year for my college education over 10 months, and that left me with $9,500 to come up with. I remember I took out about that much in federal student loans each year. I also worked a summer job each summer, had a substitute teacher assistant gig over the winter break, and worked a federal work-study job to pay for my other expenses, like the ones on the budget worksheet we mentioned earlier. Another line item on mine would have been $250 from my mother each month to help pay for groceries. Help your teenagers see the numbers in black and white, what they're specifically going to be responsible for, and come up with a list of ideas for how they can cover it. Remember, they want to take advantage of any scholarships and grants first, as that is money they will not be obligated to pay back. And if they want to take out student loans, there are 2 things to know. The first is always apply for federal student loans in the student's name first, as they are often cheaper in interest and have certain benefits that private student loans do not. And the second is if there is still a gap they need to fill with a loan, private student loans are one option to explore. College Ave offers good rates, flexible repayment terms, and can help cover up to the full cost of college. You can plug in the loan amount, estimated interest rate, and amount of time you'll borrow it for into a student loan calculator like College Ave's so that they can get an idea of how much their monthly payment will be when they graduate. One final tip I have, please, oh please, have your teen continue to apply for scholarships all 4 years or however many years that they are in college. For some reason, I thought you could only get scholarships for that first year, and I am positive that I missed out on thousands of dollars in free education dollars because of this. This ongoing monthly $1,000 scholarship sweepstakes by College Ave, for example, can help offset the cost of education, no matter if your child is a freshman or a senior. See a link in the video description below.